Hey, I'm Jason. I am 55, and after about 39 years or so in the same general line of work, I am ready for a change. Now, the change that I'm implementing really isn't a drastic change in terms of the industry. I'm not switching from one industry to another, but more along the lines of I am going to focus on the things that I want to do rather than the things that I have to do. I spent about 25 years in the fire department as a firefighter paramedic, and the last dozen or so years in that career as a fire marshal, fire investigator, fire code official. And while no question, I mean, to me that was the best job in the world, and I think most people that are in that industry would agree. It's certainly not something for an old fat guy like me anymore. So I retired in well, about a dozen years or so ago from that line of work and went into the fire protection industry side, specifically working in the fire sprinkler and fire alarm worlds. I worked for the industry trade associations for a while, and then I've spent the last 8 or so years representing a major manufacturer of fire protection equipment. Again, just like before, and I don't want to be repetitive, but I mean, best job in the world. I've traveled almost all 50 states. I've got to travel really all over the world. And while that's fun and exciting, it wears on you after a while also. And I can hear the eyes rolling now. As you start to hear my where I'm headed with all this. That people thinking, well, boy, I wish I had this guy's problems, right? And I get that. I have truly been blessed. I know that, and spoiled as well. I am looking for trying to do it all, but that's where I find myself. So, like I said, I'm at 55 years old. I am not certainly not ready for that early retirement phase. I'm not ready to stop. I'm just ready to focus on doing the things that I want to do. So what are those? Well, I've sat down over the last probably it's been months, probably over a year, working with primarily Chat GPT, other AI tools as well, but mostly Chat GPT, developing this, what I've titled my post fire plan. What am I going to do after this fire career, or what can I do to take advantage of the skills and the knowledge that I've learned during this 39-year career from the fire service to the industry side. How can I put that to work, focusing on the things that I want to do. And some of the things that I've discovered through this process are kind of where my passion lies a little bit. I certainly want to be more creative. Thus, this is what I'm doing here. I'll talk more about that here in a minute. Um, but just some of the things that we've identified a gap in the fire protection industry. That gap needs to be filled. So there's a group of us creating a small company that's going to address that. We'll talk certainly through that as we go along in this channel. But another piece is, well, one of them is what you see behind you here. My wife and I live in this RV that we've done before. We've lived full time in an RV in the past. When we were much younger, we built a house that we raised our children in, and we lived in an RV for a year or so while we did that. We've kind of decided to repeat that. So we sold that house that we built about 20 years ago. Like I said, we've made that change. We've moved into our RV. We own a piece of ground. It's actually next door to the house we built, and we'll spend some time on that. So part of this plan is the full time RV life, the development of this few acres that we have here, and the designing and building of our new home. So we'll be walking through that over the next probably a couple of years on this channel as well. And then this is the plan itself. What does it entail? We're going to talk about how AI and I sat down and developed this plan to take advantage of doing the things that I want to do and not the things that I have to do. We'll take you on some travels with us. We certainly don't want to do the typical full time travel in the RV thing. We've traveled plenty over the last 12 years or so with my roles as a speaker and presenter, but there are several more trips coming up that will be taking you on and showing you some of that work that I do, and that those will be fun trips. We've got one coming up just next week to the East Coast, and we'll take you along on that. We'll show you that. But the there's another piece to this whole conversation that I want to share with you, and that is why YouTube. Why am I sharing all this with you now? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, the YouTube channel actually is part of this freedom plan, this post fire plan that I'm developing. It gives me a creative outlet. One of the things that I like to do is write and create, and I've done that for years in my full time job, my day job. But again, it's always been doing the things that I had to do rather than some of the things that I want to. So this YouTube channel gives me that opportunity to kind of be creative, to learn some new tricks and some new skills. So you'll hopefully see my film editing improve over the next several videos. So we'll be doing that. But let's talk about why YouTube in particular. I'm a I'm a tremendous YouTube fan. I'm certainly a connoisseur. I spend a ton of time on YouTube watching some of my early retirement channels that I enjoy, some of the financial planning stuff, but mostly it involves the things that I enjoy the most on YouTube. Besides those, I certainly enjoy those early retirement videos, the channels, and we'll get into some of those again as we go along. But it's the builder stuff, the hands on, and that's the other piece of that I really miss. As when I was a firefighter for years, most firefighters, when I would get off at 8 o'clock in the morning after my 24-hour shift, I spent the next day building decks, building houses, doing remodels, those kind of things, and I enjoyed that immensely. I built my house, the one next door here. We built it everything except for the flat work and the drywall was done by my hands. So really looking forward um, to getting back into some of that. But back to the YouTube stuff. Why YouTube? Well, there's a couple of reasons that YouTube is intriguing. I talked about the creative outlet, but the other piece is the community, the accountability, if you will. I want to develop this channel as an accountability tool. I want you folks that are out there watching this to be my partners in executing this post fire plan. I want you to hold me accountable. I want you to hey, you said you were going to do this next week and you still haven't done it. What's going on with that? So I really think that we have an opportunity to kind of do this together. So that's where we're at. I look forward to having you come along with me. I hope you enjoy this kind of stuff. I know I do. So, and that's what drove me to develop this and start going down this path with YouTube. So, in the upcoming videos, we'll talk. Well, like I said, we've got a little bit of travel coming up. We'll talk about that. Maybe introduce you to that side of my world a little bit. It's a technical committee meeting for a fire protection group. We'll do that. I'll show you around the place here a little bit. We'll do a tour of the land and kind of how we're going to set this new house up and what's going on with this property. We'll certainly spend some time on my AI developed freedom plan. That's one of the things that we'll spend quite a bit of time on is walking through the different steps and like I said, a lot of moving pieces, and we'll go through those and kind of talk about some of those. We'll get this business launched. We've got a lot of things going on with that. I'll fill you in on that probably next week, and because it's moving pretty fast. So a lot going on. I hope you come along for the ride. like everybody says, you hit that subscribe button, mash that like button, if you will. Let others know about this channel, and let's do this together. I look forward to it.